You know that younger sibling, older siblings thing where the older ones simply refuse to acknowledge that the younger one is aging up? But with Damien and his whole family. Boy could turn 15 and Jason's still like, oh, my baby brother Damien? Yeah, he's 11. He could go out and legally get his license at 16, and on instinct, Tim still never lets him drive. Wait until you're 16. I am 16. He turns 18 and Dick is scandalized when he suggests that they watch an R-rated movie. Who cares about all the blood and gore he's already witnessed? Damien, you're too young for R-rated movies. He finally turns 21 and Bruce still makes sure to tell the servers at the galas to not serve any drinks to Damien because he's too young. Meanwhile, Damien is just seething in the background, clenching his glass of apple juice so hard that it shatters. Ha 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 ha, yes, adding my own bias to this. Since Tim is one of the few people that didn't always treat Damien as a kid in canon even when he was genuinely a kid, often because he was being an emotional, angsty teenager, I see Tim as one of the few people that actually acknowledge that Damien is growing up, and so you have this bizarre thing where Damien slowly ends up hanging out with Tim the most, and he is extremely pissed off at the rest of his family for it. Timothy, watch this R-rated movie with me. Grayson is being obtuse. Sure? Timothy, where did Father hide the vodka? It's in the attic. Timothy, tell Todd that I am not 11. You're an adult. Tell him yourself. Tim still absolutely does not let Damien drive, though. XD. Bruce showing his kids affection, aka gift-giving Tim, who finally got a spleen transplant after Bruce had begged him 1,000,000 times, returning home from the hospital. Hey, Bruce, extending papers towards him. Welcome back. These are for you, sign here, Tim. Aren't these Wayne Enterprises papers, Bruce? Yeah, it's your company now. Tim, what a mean it's my company now. 16-year-old Dick returning home after winning his mathlete championship. What are the papers for, Bruce? Bruce, it's your new mansion's paperwork. Dick? What? Bruce, on your new private island. Dick, what? Jason, running into Bruce on patrol. Sup, Bruce, with a man in tow. Thank God I ran into you, Jason, eyeing the guy beside Bruce. Who's that? Bruce, you couldn't get to family dinner last time because your bike was broken. So Jason? So you got me a guy? Bruce, he's the new pilot for your new helicopter. Jason, my fucking what, Cass, day after she defeated Bruce in training for the first time. Bruce, where's my suit? Bruce, oh, I gave it away to charity. Cass, what? Why? Bruce, I'm getting you a new suit made with triple weave Kevlar and titanium dipped resin lined with memory foam, Cass. Expensive? Bruce, just $1,058,600. Damien, in his initial days as Robin, who hadn't killed anyone in an entire month. Good morning, Father, what are you doing? Bruce, choosing a color scheme for the new zoo he's about to make for Damien. It's a surprise. Duke, listening to music. Man, I wish someone would buy me Spotify Premium so I can listen without all these ads. Bruce, handing him the deeds of Spotify the next day. Bruce, Commissioner Gordon, I wasn't expecting a visit this late. Gordon, my apologies, Bruce. There are some things that I need to talk to you about regarding the Wilson case. Bruce, no apologies needed, Commissioner. Please, have a seat. Would you like a cup of tea? Gordon, tea would be... Bruce? Gordon. Bruce. Commissioner? Gordon. Bruce. Commissioner Gordon, is everything all right? Gordon. Bruce. There's a ghost floating down your hallway. Bruce. Turns to see a sleeping Clark floating horizontally out of his bedroom, wrapped up in his blanket. Bruce. Oh, that's just my great-great-granduncle Tom. He's always haunting this hallway on Thursdays. It's his weekly chess game, and he never got over that one loss. Poor Uncle Tom. Gordon. Bruce. Alfred, why don't you go and see if Uncle Tom can be persuaded to haunt another hallway instead? Alfred. Right away, Master Bruce. So let's try an AU where the bats are complete isolationists. I mean, they've had contact with the world outside Gotham and villains outside Gotham, but they've completely and totally avoided other heroes. So, there's a Justice League, but no Watchtower. There's a Teen Titans, but without the Robins. There's a Red Hood, but no Outlaws. Tim's Young Justice never existed because they just joined the Titans. No one is allowed in Gotham, meta or not. Gotham is theirs. So, you have all the other heroes, and then you have the Bats. And frankly, the other heroes are a little wary of the Bats. They have no idea who they are or what they're capable of. They're from Gotham. They live in Gotham and take care of Gotham, and Gotham is one of the most dangerous cities in America, if not the world. Gotham's villains are crazy. And if the Bats are taking care of that, then they have to be, well, pretty dangerous. No one wants to cross them, and even though they want to find out what their powers are, no one wants to risk going into Gotham after that time Superman tried it and came out 5 minutes later with a sliver of kryptonite embedded in his arm. Just because no one knows about the Bats doesn't mean the Bats don't know about everybody. And then comes the moment when the Bats have to break their isolation. DC fandom has been redeemed by 99% of the fandom siding with Riddler over Joker. To be fair, it's kinda like being asked to choose between a delicious slice of cake and a kick in the crotch with ice skates. I bet even Batman likes Riddler. He gets the call that Riddler's broken out of Arkham and is terrorizing the city, and he's like, "Oh, good. I get to give my mind a workout and keep Eddie from doing anything too stupid. I'll bring the kids. They could use some critical thinking training." Ah, the Riddler. Just remember, in the Arkham games, he's just, "Hey Batman, I hid question marks. Can you find them?" And then just wandered off. No murder, no mayhem. Just puzzles. The Riddler wants to be foiled every time, and if one time a bunch of garbage men got crushed by a giant neon sign because Batman couldn't figure out that the difference between union and neon is you and I, he would probably fall into a depressive state for months because maybe I wasn't clear enough on that one. Was it Batman who failed or was it me who failed? And therefore, every time Batman triumphs, the Riddler thinks, I am truly living my best life. Outside of, his Arkham personality where he was a deranged serial killer, Nigma generally has one of the lowest body counts of Batman's villains. Heck, he's even gone legit a few times and worked as a PI for a while. Someone flirts with Red Hood. Immaterializing. Dickie as Nightwing. He's 17, 18, 19 years old. Jason, the Red Hood. Todd, humanoid fridge, crime lord, protector of the downtrodden, looks and sounds at least 10 years older than he is. You're ruining my street cred. The Red Hood orders a drink, either to ingest or to keep up appearances. The bartender slides a glass of whiskey over the counter. A blur of black and blue crashes into the bar. Nightwing. He's not old enough for that. Jason. So fucking done. Todd, with a voice of whiskey, gravel, and Jeff Castellucci. Let me retain my air of mystery. Dick, herding Jason off to the side, managing the largest puppy eyes behind the mask. I'm not trying to. You know I just worry about you. Jason, desperately trying to get back to his fucking job. Thank you very much. N, please. I have at least a few inches and 30 pounds over you. Flirty. So. Jason, shh. You'll summon him again.
Personal little headcanons about Damien that I have. Growing up, Damien was told how much he looks like his dad only for him to hit puberty looking 90% like his mom. Because he looks like his mom, he's a very pretty boy. So much so that it stresses his brothers out because of all the attention he attracts. Especially the unwanted attention, Lowell. The languages he's fluent in aside from English are Arabic, Chinese, Japanese, French, Russian, and Spanish. His favorites to speak are Arabic and Chinese. He's a very light sleeper due to his upbringing. However, he soon realized that if he's sleeping next to someone he trusts, he can actually get a good night's sleep. The one person that he just can't seem to draw right is Tim. Kid's a weeb, of course, his drawing. Hatsune Miku fan art. Despite his best efforts, he's lithe and lean when it comes to muscle mass as he gets older. He tells himself he doesn't mind. It makes him more nimble on the field. Though sometimes he still wishes that he'll wake up one morning with the same build as his dad like he thought he would have when he was a kid. He's a clothes stealer. Shirts, hoodies, socks. Doesn't matter, he's taking them them, whether it be from his brothers or John. He has a small collection of stuffed animals that he's accumulated over the years from friends and family. His three favorites are a bear that Alfred gave him when he first started living at the manor, an elephant from Dick, and a cat that John won for him at a fair. Some of his favorite romance animes included Fruits Basket, Kimi ni Todoke, Your Lie in April. He has a manga collection. John thinks it's pretty funny that amongst all his other more serious books, there's just a bunch of manga. He stops growing when he hits 5 feet 7 or 5 feet 8. He believes he'll hit a belated growth spurt for a while, but once he hits like 25, he learns to accept his height. Still doesn't like talking about it though. Because Damien takes after his mom, he's rather soft and delicate looking, so people don't really expect him to know how to fight. That when he does knock someone down on their ass, it's always a fun surprise for everybody.
Something violence has always been the primary love language for Wayne's, something. It breaks me that Bruce loves Jason so deeply, and Jason is so completely unaware of it. He comes to the conclusion that love is religion. You have to see to believe? I'm just thinking about Jason watching evidence of how wrecked Bruce is after his death. He stalks Batman, always, tracks down every movement and breath. He waits for the perfect moment to shoot. Your father only dies once, after all. That moment, mysteriously, doesn't come. Jason's never been scared of Bruce. Fear, to him, is darkness and cold and a bleach-white face laughing at him. Fear of Bruce not being there at all. That's fear. I need a scene where Jason, Red Hood, watches Batman pin down a mugger. He doesn't know what that man says. Something about getting on him for not being there when Wayne's boy got killed. He's never been scared of Bruce. But when he punches that man, over and over and over, when his throat makes those horrible sounds of gasping effort, animal and feral, he's afraid. Afraid Bruce won't stop. He's about to jump in when another, smaller pair of feet runs up to the scene and Jesus Christ, that's a kid. A kid wearing Jason's old uniform. Wrapping his arms around Batman's and clinging. The man on the ground is motionless. If he didn't blink, Jason wouldn't know there was a face anymore. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is Bruce crying. Gasping, punched out noises, his hands drenched with red, squeezing the kid so close to him. My baby. Oh my baby.
Dick pushing 30 is forever funny to me. I imagine he pouts in the corner anytime Damien or Jason jokingly call him old man. Once, during a particularly stressful mission, he came back and took a shower only to notice a single gray hair amongst the black. He was basically that scene in Howl's Moving Castle where he threw himself on the nearest surface and wallowed until Corey had to reassure him he was still young. He works on a mission with Bruce, and is beaming when an officer comes up to him and he's expecting a thanks kid like the old days or maybe a hey bro in solidarity, but the officer just shakes his hand and says, "Thank you, sir." Dick cries for a week. No, but imagine Bruce standing nearby, talking to Commissioner Gordon and hearing the officer say that to Nightwing. He's aware of Dick's thoughts, and then when he hears it, the Batman snorts loudly, interrupting Gordon and making everyone in the vicinity just freeze in shock. Nightwing's expression is that of a kid that dropped his ice cream, and he turns to stare at Batman as if asking him to do something about it. The Dark Knight begins to shake with barely concealed laughter, and Nightwing's face falls further. Then he jumps off the building and grapples away, sniffling. When Gordon turns to look back at Batman to ask whatever the hell just happened, he's met with nothing since the guy disappeared on him, again. All where the Justice League forms as usual, except for one slight difference where Bruce just so happens to have been the one superheroing for the longest. Excluding Diana, who got up to it in World War I, and then mostly didn't while she learned about Man's World, Bruce helps form the Justice League, ignoring all of the comments as they come to the sudden realization that Gotham's baby cryptid story is actually a man in a very intimidating armored suit who can and will break your arm if you cause problems for him. They are unaware that this is not the first team he's led, and actually he's used to teams full of mostly teenagers who also happen to be his children. This should be easier. This team is primarily adults. He realizes rapidly that he doesn't understand these people. His kids take bonding activities to mean learning a dozen different ways to break someone's leg. That doesn't fly with these people. And that is most of Bruce's ideas. Hell, when he was a kid, Alfred took every opportunity to get him out of his room. And mostly that was with the agreement that Alfred would teach him how to defend himself. He's come by it honestly. This team is not easier. They have more drama than when his house was actually full of kids. It's insane. He doesn't know what to do with it. Usually, he just sent the kids to their rooms or grounded them from patrol. That doesn't work here. He comes to a strange crossroads. That falls apart when he forgets who he's working with and snaps at Hal with a full room of heroes that the next person to throw a punch or an insult without a reason to will be sparring with him. A long-standing rule in the Batcave that worked twofold to prevent infighting between the kids and to ensure that they were well and truly trained. It works wonders. No one says a word out of line for the rest of the debrief. Bruce becomes the unofficial mediator of the league over Clark because anytime he walked in on a fight, it suddenly became 10 times more civil out of sheer terror of what he'd do to them in a sparring match. Eventually, they actually meet his kids. Well, one kid. Halfway through a mission, one of the rare ones in Gotham, the Bat comes to a complete stop at the edge of an alley. Every single league member on the team comes to a stop behind him. Slowly, from the shadows of the alley, a man in a red helmet stalks out to greet them. You don't call? You don't write? Red Hood. Don't Red Hood me? We've been worried sick. I was at the cave last night. You didn't answer my texts, B. You always answer my texts. Somehow it ends with Big and Scary following them through the rest of the mission with a running commentary of how much Bats has let him down in his failure to respond in a timely manner to a text sent less than an hour before he ran into them in the alley. It only ends when Red Robin shows up. And even then, it only ends because Hood can't keep himself from throwing a punch, and Bruce has to snap at him that if he throws another one, they're sparring when they get home. And by God, is Jason giving up the chance to punch his brothers. Can you imagine how horrible it must be for Bruce to resemble his father? When he was born, it was the only thing anyone could say to Martha. He looks just like Thomas, just like his father. He's going to be so handsome, and the Waynes are thrilled. Bruce has his father's features, his mother's gentle touch, the famous dark hair of the Wayne line, the strong jaw, the intense stare, even at 6, and then he's 8. His parents are gone. Nothing but formal portraits and photographs to remember his father by, except he's 18, looking in the mirror, wishing he could tear it down, break it into a million pieces, because suddenly Thomas Wayne is looking at him and he's frozen, unable to breathe. After that, it's something he hears daily. There are side-by-side photographs in the newspapers and magazines, marveling at the similarities, watching him. There are pictures of Thomas laughing, an arm around Martha's waist as they walk down a street in New York, her shoes dangling from his fingers. Photos of Thomas with a white coat on, his face drawn, leaning over a bed in Gotham General. At 30, the likeness is eerie. He has broad shoulders and dark hair and a proud face that he turns away from cameras, biting his tongue until he draws blood. He is nothing like Thomas Wayne. Could never be like him, as much as he'd tried. But there is still a brief hesitation in Alfred's eyes when he walks into a room, the pause of someone seeing ghosts, again and again. I like to think that Batman's suit is really heavy, like the thing obviously Kevlar weave, with lots of armor-reinforced bits, not to mention all of the gear and gadgets and tools he has on his person. I mean, anything he's ever thought he may need, anything he's been mid-fight thinking that a particular tool would be useful, he has it somewhere, probably a few of them. And all the kids, too, they're equally equipped even if they don't necessarily look it. So I like to imagine that some of the heroes decided they should do a costume switch for fun. The Bats agreed, and the best part wasn't them being weirded out like they thought they'd be, unmasked and all that. No, they couldn't care less. Instead, everyone else is freaking out about how heavy the Bats' costumes are. How the hell do they do impossible feats of acrobatics wearing shit like this? Even the supers think it's excessive. And they have super strength. The Bats all take the opportunity to try some of their moves without the weight, given that they work out wearing even more weight. Turns out they can flip and jump and move in even more insane ways than anyone thought possible. And everyone is more terrified than they were a few minutes ago. Everyone decides the Bats are better with their gadgets.
Okay. But when Bruce discovers Talia knew Jason was alive, that she knew his child was the man under the red hood. His boy. Oh, Jason's met and memorized every facet of Bruce Wayne. He knows Bruce by the way his eyes melt when he looks at him, to the hard lines of his cowl. He knows where Bruce starts and Batman ends. When Bruce rips off his cowl to give her the deepest glare Jason's ever seen, he's reminded there's no difference. Fear hits his stomach when he swallows. Hey, old man, don't fucking blame her. She has no obligation to you. Bruce's eyes are unblinking, wide, jumping from her frozen form to him. And Jason's suddenly 10 again, running from hungry stray dogs cornering him in a place with no exit. Bruce's voice is shadow and whisper. Quiet. Okay. Damien, he rasps, pointing at the small figure with dark hair and green eyes, who looks at neither of them. He looks at Talia. Jason thinks it's fair. He's never seen her scared either. Car. Cave. Stay. There's something incredibly bitter in Jason when he just does. Doesn't ask. Doesn't rebel. He wants to, with every fiber and matter and crumb in his body. And his body says no. He grabs Damien like he's an angry cat, not the small assassin he knew since he was born. He doesn't look back. He doesn't want to, he realizes. Did you know? Bruce asks, such a deadly calm to him, too calm for the winter in his eyes. Talia would have preferred a blade to the neck. She can't meet his eye. Almost like if she doesn't face his hatred, his disapproval, his disappointment, it doesn't count. I did. Whatever you do, she'd take it as pity if he didn't sound repulsed. You're still his daughter. Out of context things hurt in Wayne Manor. Bruce? I understand, but pretending you cooked Jerry the turkey is not a proportionate response to Damien calling you a peasant again. Jason. Look, there's a right way and a wrong way to make food. There's also the Bruce way, which is the wrong way except faster and worse. Duke. Frantically scribbling notes. Tim, do you think our relationship was kinda like incest now? Steph, horrified. Never open your mouth in my presence again, Timothy. Dick. So then he's like, guys? Guys, are you seriously signing about me in front of my face? I learned it too. Hey, I do not have a butt chin, take that back. Damien. I don't understand. Why does he wear such a ridiculous hat? Is it like that Margaret Poppins woman Grayson showed me? Tim, who watched the live-action Cat in the Hat too much as a kid and is about to violently infodump. Well, you see. Dick. Oh God, it's too late. Jason. Yeah, the brat's on his own for this one, I'm not fucking dealing with that again. Bruce. Are you lying? Tim. Always. Anyway, like I was saying. Steph. Hey, what's up with you and all the redheads? Dick. I'm not discussing this with you. Steph, starting to chase him. Gingivitis is a serious affliction. You can't run from this. Dick, sprinting away. Yes, the fuck I can. Duke. So is anyone gonna talk about the elephant in the room? Dick. Dick. Look, I was feeling sentimental and Zitka Jr. really isn't any trouble. Damien. She is magnificent. Tim. So I dropped out and... Duke. Wait, we can drop out of high school? Bruce. No. Duke. Please, Bruce. AP Biology is beating my ass right now. Jason. Nah, Tim just got to drop cause Bruce was dead and he's a loser. The real problem is what you're reading in App Lit right now, because I have thoughts on that curriculum. Duke. I'm not even gonna use half that material in the real world. Tim. Actually, most of our villains have PhDs, so their plans are based on pretty real science. Duke. Not helping Timothy?
Nobody in Gotham remembers when the bat showed up. It was part of the shadows, so it was understandable, but everyone remembers when the Robin appeared. It was the light to Gotham, the laughter ringing through the air impossible to miss. That was what made it more infuriating when you failed to catch it. The Robin had short black hair, the black of nightmares and fear, and blank blue eyes obscured by the domino. Any and all facial features covered with a mask over the nose and mouth. Then the Robin disappeared for a while, and Osprey appeared for the first time. It wasn't hard to piece together. The Robin had matured and taken a different form, with ocean blue wings and the same blank blue eyes through the domino. Then the Robin appeared again, with hair the color of nightmares, and lighter, but still blank blue eyes masked by a domino, features obscured by a mask. Then the Robin disappeared once more, and the Joker claimed to have killed it. The bat raged, becoming more like the shadows and anger that plagued Gotham. Joker disappeared, never to be seen again. Not even the inmates in Arkham saw him. Another Robin showed up. This one also had blank blue eyes, only the eyes of this one were so bright they nearly glowed. Obscured by a domino, features covered by a mask from nose to chin, and pitch black hair the shade of nightmares. A fourth Robin came at some point. When? No one was really sure. No less hard to catch, though. The last and current Robin had the same nightmare black hair as its predecessors, minus the fourth. Blank green eyes the color of emeralds, obscured by a domino, and other features covered by a mask from nose to chin. Nobody is really ever sure about the bat and its birds.
It's learned behavior. Dick and Jason are brawling on the living room floor. Bruce, breaking them apart. That is enough. Jason, he took the remote. Dick, you know I want to watch Real Housewives. Jason, then get here first. Bruce, I said enough. This behavior is unacceptable. I have never seen such childish conduct from two adults. 2 days later, on a mission with JL. Green Arrow, we should go this way. Batman, no. Green Arrow. Who died and made you the boss of me? I'm going this way. Batman. No, you're not. Green Arrow. Oh my God, why do you have such a stick up your ass? You've been like this since we were children. Green Arrow, in a posh, childish voice. No, we can't play in the pool because I don't want to. Why must you all be such children? Batman, angrily. Well, maybe if your ideas weren't stupid I wouldn't have to be in charge. Green Arrow, still in his posh child voice. I'm the richest person here so I'm in charge. Alfred, tell them I'm in charge. Batman, in his normal Bruce voice. Shut up. Green Arrow. Crybaby. Batman, I'm not the one who carried my teddy around until I was 12. Green Arrow, gapes. Green Arrow, well at least I didn't bring my butler to parties. Batman, Princess Thumbelina. Green Arrow, indignant, I can't believe you called me that. No one has called me that for years, you. Batman, talking over him, oh shoot, why don't you go cry on Mr. Snuffins about it? Green Arrow, you keep Mr. Snuffins out of this. Batman, fine, go cry to Mummy then. Green Arrow, at least I have a mummy. Batman, gasps. Batman. Well, at least mine didn't stop loving me when I was 3. Green Arrow, lunges at Batman. Batman, in a high-pitched scream while wrestling Green Arrow, I hate you. Green Arrow, I hate you more. The League, in another part of the lair they're infiltrating, listening over the comms. Flash, should we go over there? Wonder Woman, no, it's fine. They'll fight it out and then make up. Superman, sighs. This is why we never let those two team up. I keep forgetting. Black Canary, in a corner, shaking with suppressed laughter. Wonder Woman, at least Green Lantern isn't here this time to make it worse. Superman, small mercies. Flash, are you all right, Canary? Black Canary, crying with laughter. Mr. Snuffins, Jason's most hated rogue isn't actually the Joker, it's the Mad Hatter. Because he makes Alice in Wonderland look bad. Also because he's occasionally very creepy to children for the sake of his weird little role-play fantasy, but Joker is Dick's most hated rogue, because he makes clowns look bad. And he's not even funny, which Dick makes sure to inform him of every time they cross paths, as a matter of principle. Damian doesn't have a personal villain, but Ivy hates him the most out of all the other Robins because of the vegetarianism. If you were really funny, you poser, you wouldn't have to use chemicals to make people smile, would you? Punch. Jason loving Wonderland? Jason playing the Mad Hatter in the middle school play and fucking nailing it? Jason having so much random knowledge of tea and his siblings are like, what? And Alfred is like, don't look at me. Jason who shrugs and says, I like to research my characters. Jason who rereads the book every year and loving it every damn time. Jason who loves rabbits and mice. Jason who was the Queen of Hearts one year for Halloween. Jason who is so fucking pissed about this creep fucking up the image of one of his favorite characters of all time. Jason nearly having a stroke after Kate introduces him to Alice and he hears what the Mad Hatter did to her. Jason chasing him around screaming about taking off his head after he drowns him in boiling hot tea. Wonderland Jason.
The Gotham Gazette the next day. Adopted ward of Bruce Wayne denies their family ties. Drama at the Veteran Gala yesterday, when Bruce Wayne's last ward and adopted son, Jason Todd Wayne, jumped into a display model tank. The teenager refused to leave the vehicle at the demands of the Prince of Gotham, loudly refusing to acknowledge the man as his father. It seems the perfect family image the Waynes have been giving us is nothing but a facade. Already, a little more than a decade ago, when America's favorite millionaire had decided to take home his first ward, Richard Grayson, Child Protective Services had questioned his capacity to be an adequate guardian to the young boy. Again, when Bruce Wayne fostered Jason Todd and was working on adopting him, Child Protective Services stepped in and took the child away from him. At the time, Wayne's behavior in court had been explosive and irrational. In the end, everything was settled, and the boys went with Wayne. But with this history, and yesterday's accident, the question remains, Is Bruce Wayne an adequate and safe guardian? Some, however, think the problem lies in the boys themselves, and not Gotham's prince himself. Both wards come from troubled backgrounds and POV. Tim realizes how much power the word dad holds. First instance, argument about pineapple on pizza. Jason, Bruce, you cannot let this gremlin put that shit on a pizza. Jason angrily points at pineapple slices. Dick, for once totally agreeing with Jason. Dick, that's just an insult to everyone with Italian roots. Even I wouldn't do such crap. Tim turns towards Bruce with a small frown. Tim, but I like it. Dad, can I please put pineapple on my pizza? Tim immediately freezes up because OMG, he just accidentally called Bruce Dad. Bruce looks at Tim with wide, teary eyes. Bruce, of course you can put pineapple on your pizza, Tim. Second instance, Tim has a sprained ankle and is unable to patrol. Dick, trying to placate Tim. Dick, baby bird, you really should rest now and try to sleep. We'll be back from patrol in a flash. Tim struggles against Jason's hold. Jason, upstairs you go, Timmers. Tim continues to struggle and gets annoyed. Tim, come on. I am not an invalid. I can man the bat computer, right, Dad? Bruce almost trips over his cape, looks at Tim's pleading eyes and sighs. Bruce, I suppose you can. Tim smiles innocently at Dick and Jason. Third instance, Tim tests out his theory by aggravating Dick and Jason. Jason, screaming from upstairs. Jason, which of you bastards disorganized my books? Dick, just as loud a second later. Dick, Timothy Jackson. Drake Wayne, you better come here right this second. Why the fuck did the Titans get an email with my embarrassing pictures? Tim runs into Bruce's office and conjures the saddest puppy eyes ever seen. Tim, Dad, please help me. I was just trying to play a small prank. That's what brothers do, right? Bruce looks conflicted. Tim hears the angry footsteps approaching. Tim, please hide me, Dad. I just wanted to do normal brother things. I didn't mean to do it wrong, Dad. Bruce visibly breaks and smiles faintly. Bruce, you can crawl underneath my desk, Tim. We'll deal with this later, okay? No need to look so sad.
I remember seeing someone say that Bruce wouldn't deny the Batman allegations. Like he will proudly tell everyone he is most definitely the Batman whenever he's asked, and it would actually do wonders with keeping the secret hidden. Like it would be more suspicious than anything if billionaire playboy Brucey Wayne so adamantly denied any connection to the vigilante. And yeah, so I was thinking, what would his kids think about it? Like, they get asked during interviews and whatnot what they think about their dad being Batman. I feel like Dick would just play along and say some shit like, if B is Batman, then I'm Nightwing, and get a look from the man, and Jason would take any opportunity to shit on B and say something along the lines of B's Batman. I call bullshit. He's not even a man. Tim would either A, pull up a 99 slided presentation about how Bruce Wayne is, in fact, not Batman, and be internally laughing the whole time because he is funny, and people just don't know what they're talking about. Or B, only when he's been up for a few days, confirm it and go, well yes, of course he is. It'd be weird if he wasn't, since the cave's under the house. Cassandra would just smile and stare into the person's soul until they move on to the next question. Steph would deny it and claim that she's Batman and that Bruce is her Robin. She'd probably also manage to convince a few people to join her. Duke would be like, he's Batman? Oh, that explains the explosives I found in the cellar. Or something else, just as worrying. Damian would just nod and go into a full-length speech about how Batman is the best superhero, after Nightwing of course, and completely disregard the question. And before anyone can re-ask, he'd just walk off. Batman having a recording of a heartbeat softly play in his suit so that Superman thinks he has two hearts to throw him off his scent because he's paranoid, but then one day it breaks and Superman freaks out, because Batman. Where did your other heartbeat go? And Bruce panics and says, I split into two, like he's some sort of cryptid and everyone goes? Luckily he has Robin to introduce them to. It's not until much later, when they all reveal their identities, that they learn that it's not true and all the bats and birds that are running around were not parts that ripped free from Batman. Though not before the whole family has had a whole lot of fun creating nonsense rumors just to fuck with people. Well, you see, Batman answered with due gravitas. Gotham City is cursed from all of the things that happened before and still happen to this day. So when I vowed to protect the city, I took a piece of that curse. And so I will sometimes break apart, and that part shall form into a smaller version of me. I have been informed that due to the overwhelming nature of the curse that it cannot be broken, but taking this on? Helps my people? For that reason alone, I will not even consider ridding myself of the curse.
All Jason could think about was the texture of the inside of his gloves. He was trapped, quite literally, in space, in an interrogation room. Nevertheless, he was partially calm. The cavalry wouldn't arrive for another 12 hours. By cavalry, he means the Trinity. Bruce was on an off-world mission with Big Blue Boy Scout and Wonder Woman. Fuck, where is Dickwing? I've been here for a little over 6 hours already. Red Hood, huh? He doesn't seem to have a hood, so why the name? I don't know, Ollie. $20 says it has something of a sentimental value. I think $20 says that he's not in his actual costume. Bet. Jason sat there wondering how B put up with such unprofessional people, especially in their line of work. He started gently tapping his foot against the chair leg. Dickface is probably so worried right now. Roy's probably already texted him about me not showing up at his apartment in Star City. They heard the Zeta tube announce someone's arrival. B-01 Nightwing. This is going to be a fun 12 hours, Jason thought grimly. Danny didn't realize he was rogue material. He could build a fully functioning weapon with scraps. He took apart the toaster and used it to make a tracker when they were trying to avoid the Joker after he broke out of Arkham. Nobody should be able to do that, let alone a student. Everyone learned to stay the fuck away from Fenton. He was the next rogue in the making, and there were bets on whether it would happen before or after he graduated. It doesn't become a problem until Duke, who also goes to Gotham U, hears these rumors. He makes it his mission to befriend Danny and can confirm Danny is a second-generation mad scientist. One time he stubbed his toe and Danny made him steel-toed shoes that would break walls. How did he even make those from a microwave? Duke didn't understand. Duke's phone got broken during a Riddler attack at the school. Danny casually gives him a new phone the next day and tells him not to worry about cell phone coverage. Duke tests this out by going to the watchtower, and he still had cell service. He asks one of the Green Lanterns to take the phone into deep space. It still has service. Duke doesn't know what to think of Danny now, but he was committed to keeping an eye on him. The Bats have a bet pool going on Danny. They all think he's one bad day from becoming a dangerous rogue. They don't even know about Danny's superpowers. I think they'd nearly shit themselves if they knew.
Maybe CPS isn't called on Batman because everyone is too afraid of Robin. Some out-of-towner. And you're saying he just lets a child run around in short shorts to get shot at? Scandalous gasp as they clutch their chest. Gothamite. Have you met Robin? Oot. Well, no. Gothamite. That ankle-biter giggles at the sight of teeth flying out of someone's mouth. He screeches for joy jumping off buildings, and he can pummel a 300-pound man with ease. I've seen him sass Joker to the point the clown cried. Oot. That's no reason to allow the chill. Gothamite. Are you going to tell Robin he's not allowed to snap goon bones like glow sticks? Are you going to place bedtime restrictions on the sprite that can disappear while you're looking right at him? Oot. Maybe I can't, but surely that Dark Knight man could. Gothamite. Sighs as they pour themselves a shot and proceed to empty their cup. You think Batman hasn't tried? Splutters. That's a child. Surely Batman could parent the Gothamite. Stares forlorn at the bottom of their cup. That's no child. That's a demon critter from the dregs of Death's realm.
I know it's not really canon BC Alfred is seemingly ageless, but I like the idea that he was like 30-ish when Bruce was orphaned. Like Martha Wayne was like 20 when she had Bruce, and 28 when she died, with Thomas being 23 at Bruce's birth and 31 at the time of the shooting, while the butler they hired was around their age too. Alfred ex Martha ex Thomas writes. But Bruce never realized BC Alfred goes gray early and is, again, ageless. So he is like panicking at 21 having acquired a 9-year-old, and he's like 34 when Damian comes in his life, and by the time the Bat Fam has settled he's nearly 40, and he asks Alfred how the fuck he kept up with him before he calmed down a bit as a teen BC. He had a purpose and then fucked off to go train, and Alfred just goes, I was 10 years younger than you're now, sir. I also don't know how you do it. Have you looked into the Batman retirement plans more? And it's only then that Bruce learns Alfred also had not fucking clue what he was doing and was pretty young, though way more reasonable than Bruce with Dick's adoption, To have a whole-ass child as a responsibility. Just the idea that they're closer in age tickles me. I made a post a few days ago about Clark Kent inexplicably being friends with the Waynes because he knows Batman is Superman, but the people who just know mild-mannered reporter Clark Kent don't know that. And the thought of Lois Lane, pre-knowing that Clark is Superman, just being extremely baffled by her writing partner from the middle of nowhere, Kansas, being friends with the Wayne family, continues to amuse me. So the alternative situation from the one I posted, the other that's been bouncing around in my head, is Lois charging into Clark's apartment after being let in. Sorry, Clark, I know it's your day off, but I need help. Lois. 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 Hey, Clark? Why is Bruce Wayne's son doing a puzzle on your coffee table? Clark, Bruce is in town for business and Dick didn't want to sit in an office all day. Lois, yeah. Okay, let me rephrase. Clark, why is the son of one of the most rich and influential men in the country sitting in your apartment, young Dick Grayson, having not looked up from his puzzle? Uncle Clark, do you not tell your friends anything about your life?
Here are my hot being a fan. In Gotham City takes self-insert ex-vigilante fanfictions exist. You don't go out in cosplay, you always change at the convention. There are rarely any conventions in Gotham, but if there are, so many people are dressed as Poison Ivy. One of them could make plants grow. You don't question it. Bruce Wayne x Batman is one of the biggest ships. Tropes include the two families living together, like 20 people just living in the manor. People give the vigilantes the weirdest real people names that either sound familiar to their hero names or are just random character traits people picked up on. William, for Red Hood, is immensely popular. Betty, for Batgirl too. You quote Shakespeare one time. Jason, at least you're not Rhett Robbie. Batman, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. In the disclaimer of every E-rated fanfic. Equally popular trope is the separated at birth, pt1 Wayne kid and a bat. Batman is a green-eyed blonde in fan art. There are discords dedicated to archiving all the infos people have on the bats. AMVs, but the quality is terrible. Phone camera videos taken at night. You only see shadows. People still comment things like, oh gosh, he's so hot, I love him, ooh. There's a 350,000 slow burn romance fanfic for Bruce Batman, and the entire Batfam is convinced one of their own wrote it, but they don't know who.
Lazarus pits have some kind of eternal youth effect on the people, right? Like how Roz is still alive and on a certain age? What if after being in a Lazarus pit, people stopped aging? I know he still ages and need to re-enter the pit to get young again, but imagine a constantly 15-year-old Jason Todd. He is trying to be a crime lord, but he has his 15-year-old body and cracky teenage boy voice. Bruce is 100% sure he is a ghost. He gets into the Titan's Tower in a Robin costume and Khan just pecks him on the cheek because he mistook him for Tim, and they are not so different at body build. He still has the pit rage, but it's not against Bruce or Tim or anyone, really. He is just so pissed because he is stuck as a 15-year-old and everyone treats him like one, but he is 20-fucking-2 or something, and he is shorter than Tim now. He wants to drink, he is a crime lord, his own bar won't give him alcohol. You are too young to drink, boss. Weird questions from a Weird City Bat Family Edition. Duke Thomas, what's your biggest fear? Jason Todd, that I'll never be good enough for anyone? Tim Drake, everyone hates me and talks about me behind my back. Dick Grayson, vampires. Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Dick Grayson. I got turned into one once and nearly killed peoples. It's a bloodlust. You never know when you'll be fully quenched, and every non-vampire is a succulent vessel. But I'm not a vampire anymore, and that is in my past. Dick eats his apple after that. Silence. Duke Thomas, holy crap, stick Batman. Tim, can I change my option to Dick Grayson? Jason, same. Bruce, my gray hairs are coming in. Maybe I should dye it. Jason, I died once. Bruce, go. Jason, it was traumatizing. Bruce, yes, it was for all of us, Jason, but not more traumatizing than for me. I'm the one that died. I died, Bruce. I feel like if he does this enough, even a fraction as often as we enjoy writing or drawing him doing so, at some point the others are gonna gang up on him and tidy him head to toe. Hair dye prank. Dye in the shower to get his skin. Repaint the helmet. Hide his jacket to swap it with a dyed leather one. All the colors the IDK, if you can tidy leather, I'm sure they can commission one that is similar. Look. OG tucked away safe. A good leather jacket is good, and it is aligned across. Colorful holsters, tidy pants, rainbow tidy shoelaces in all his boots. Novelty colorful guns even, maybe. Spray paint every tire iron they can find. Actual useful tool to have WO weaponizing, and would still function just fine. Nightwing, hey Batman, why do you have Nadia's hair remover cream in the glove compartment? Batman, poison ivy, pretending to be curious. Did it state if it was for women or men? Nightwing, holding up the nearly empty tube of cream. Men. I'm getting the feeling you used this on your chest and... Batman covered his son's mouth while resting his hand over his eyes, trying to hide his embarrassment. Poison ivy. Thank you. I can mock him accordingly. Ivy cleared her throat, pointed at Batman, and burst into laughter. Harley and Cheetah couldn't help but laugh as well, and the caped crusader began to blush. Nightwing, reading the back of the tube. Hey, there's no shame in manscaping. Batman turned to Nightwing, glaring at him. Nightwing quickly felt the stare in his bones and noticed his father's angry gaze. He walked off nervously. Nightwing, apologetic. Right. I was supposed to bring something else. Sorry I got distracted. Batman groaned in embarrassment. Batman. Stupid suit has to get hot with fucking chest hair. I'll get the item. Just stay with the cackling idiots. Batman walked over to his car, shoving his son out of the way and snatching the tube out of his hands while grumbling angrily.
Jason finds out what Bruce really thinks of him when Poison Ivy's latest batch of pollen compels its victims to blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. No, Dick, not quite truth serum. More like spewing whatever's on my mind right now serum. Bruce has just finished sharing the fact that he's never tried hot Cheetos yet desperately wants to, despite the shit Alfred would give him and the heartburn it would probably cause. He's clicking and clacking away at the bat computer, trying to synthesize an antidote before he admits something more embarrassing than the time he made out with Oliver Queen in a broom closet at boarding school. That's when Jason has a bright idea that he'll regret later. What do you really think of me? The response is instantaneous, given with no hesitation. Baby, you're my baby. Jason glares at the older man. He's found a way around the pollen. Miserable fucking... Dick, Jason snaps. What do you think of Dick? Acrobat baby. Tim. Sleepy genius baby. Damien. Youngest baby. Duke. Sunshine baby. This is getting him nowhere. Time to think outside the box. The clone boy, Jason growls. Con or whatever. Bruce levels a flat look at his son. Superman's baby. The little speedster fucker Tim hangs out with. Fast baby? Me. Bruce smiles warmly at him, and Jason curses internally when he sees none of the tells that usually indicate lies. Bookworm baby. Jason curses again. This isn't going how he thought it would, and now Bruce is looking at him the same way he does when Damien actually acts his age and falls asleep on the couch, face innocent and adorable. Fuck. Fuck you, I'm not a baby, he grumbles. He could kick himself for not thinking of a cutting remark or a venomous barb, but Bruce is just staring like he wants nothing more than to wrap him up in his old Wonder Woman jammies and read him a bedtime story. Is this pollen making the old man sappy? Ugh. Move over, Jason barks. He pushes Bruce out of the stationary chair in front of the Batcomputer. Might as well help you with the damn antidote. HC that Kryptonian names are kind of like true names, so even though Clark grew up never hearing Kal-El until he was an adult, the second someone uses it on him he twitches and instinctively leans in a little. Over time, the response gets easier to ignore, but there's still times when Bruce, or someone else, uses it and it just kind of snaps his attention back over to them, Clark falling away from Kal as instinct fires at the back of his mind. Hey, that's my name. Why are you using it? Zod. Kal-El. Clark, twitching. What? Ooh, what if this gives Clark away? Like, on Krypton, titles develop to counter this politely. Kinda like how you wouldn't use a first name without an honorific in Japan unless you know the person really well. But the Kryptonian's response is dependent on how the person feels about whoever called them. Like, if Clark hears Lois call him Kal, he snaps to attention because he's in deep shit. If Ma Kent calls him Kal, she's probably being held hostage. I named that boy. God damn it, no one else. If Diana does it, odds are he's being Yanbin mind-controlled. John does it all the time. But it's comforting BC he does it so he doesn't feel like the only alien. The first time Luther did it, he nearly snapped the man's neck. He's never felt a visceral rage like that, like Luther had access to something he should never have touched. Zod nearly got his head ripped off for it, but he really should have known better. Even the hologram of Jor-El uses the Kryptonian honorific for son, and not his proper name. Kara and Khan don't make him feel much, more like a kid pulling his sleeve than anything. Oddly, he does know when Crypto is barking at him, specifically. It feels that way for the Robins TKK. Deeply comfortable, familiar to the point of being unobtrusive. Then there's Bruce. Bruce calling his name makes his skin ripple with goosebumps and his body shiver. When Bruce is mad, it slides up his spine like a cold hand, but when Bruce is happy, it feels nearly erotic. Clark is almost helpless when Bruce gives him a command. It's a compulsion in his soul. Clark can always tell when Bruce is under someone else's control because he doesn't have a death grip on Clark when he calls his name. And if Clark starts dating Bruce, well, it only takes one word to change Clark into a hair trigger.
Every time Tim says he isn't part of the family, "Really, I'm just an employee," Bruce photocopies Tim's adoption certificate. "Only a legal technicality, Damien. Don't worry." Frames it and hangs it on the wall of Tim's room. "The guest room I normally stay in, you mean?" Which is in the family wing. "Only for convenience." Tim's walls, the guest room's walls, eventually fill up with the results of Tim's low self-esteem. So Bruce begins sticking the frames to the ceiling. Even better, Tim doesn't live at the manor. And so he makes these comments, Bruce makes all these adoption certificates and all that, puts them in his room, on the walls, on the desks, on the ceiling, on the bed, makes blankets and pillows, and an entire clothesline that is just Tim's adoption certificate on clothes, items. And one day Tim does actually stay over, opens the door, and everything flows into the hallway, and like buries him with evidence of Bruce's love, dedication to him, the promise that he is permanent, he is Bruce's son no matter what he does or his insecurities say, and it's where Bruce finds him an hour later, wearing the clothes, wrapped in the blankets, holding one frame in his arms, sobbing. Bruce eventually just gets him a small version for his wallet, so he's reminded he is Bruce's son every time he needs to buy something and show his license, or SMTHLSIDK. Deegs Duke Thomas refusing to let Batman, Nightwing, or Red Hood near him because when Duke was a kid, Batman had just lost Robin and was super violent on the streets. Nightwing was in blood. So Duke wouldn't really know him, and Red Hood has guns? What? And Duke, this is the kid who reads people flawlessly and also trained to beat the Riddler from a young age, is evading capture at every turn. His powers are erratic, and he's starting to get scared. The manor will not let him out. And where are his parents? When suddenly there he is, Duke Thomas's Robin and his most trusted protector, Tim Drake. Just more of Duke Thomas with the tropes the other brothers get hit with all the time, and also more of Tim being Duke's Robin, please? Duke probably saw Tim as Robin stop Batman from going too far on a goon when Tim first got on the scene and has considered Tim as the people's protector since.
Alfred honestly can't say shit about Bruce bringing in strays, because what if the Waynes got him the same way? I genuinely can't recall how Alfred, British Special Forces extraordinaire, ended up working for Gotham's scary sweethearts. In my mind, he came to them bleeding. There's a tang of bitterness pooling in his gut. Soldiers don't have friends. They have guns. And he's all out. Just when Alfred thought all is in peril, a tiny little hand gently covers a nasty bullet hole on his abdomen. The first thing Alfred thinks about is, Jesus, this kid has scary eyes. Hi, Alfred. How do you? Bruce, Jesus fucking Christ, I swear, I'm not paying for your ransom next time you run a... What the fuck is that? If there's one thing about Thomas that Alfred will never forget is his voice. The bass, so chasmic and powerful it could shake the whole world, and the burning care in his eyes despite his vulgarity. Bruce, who's the tiniest bundle of a boy Alfred witnessed, is yanked up by his father's strong hands, squeezed to his chest carefully. Hurt, he says. There's a tiny, red handprint on Thomas's shirt. Yeah, I didn't notice, Thomas mumbling, looking around. Maybe local gangs? The bullet point is too precise, too calculated. Who the hell are you? Alfred, with his raspy breath says, I'm the terribly rude bloke dying on your doorstep, I'm afraid. Alfred Pennyworth. At your service. For a guy who's about to bleed his last, he sounds awfully sarcastic. Yeah, wise guy, no one's dying on my kid's birthday. Bruce, tell Dottie to prep up the basement, and tell your mama to get my Bud Light out of the cooler. Jesus Christ, Alfred ends up hoisted on this man's back. Thomas asks if he has anyone he wants to call. Anyone that'll come pick him up? Anyone to bury him, if it comes to it? Alfred whispers he does not. Thomas sighs. Well, kid have been asking for a playmate.
Alfred to Bruce. Now I know you say that the Batcave has kept everything up to code, but I recently spoke to a very reliable source. Robin Dick. Hi, Alfred. And he has informed me that the floor is, in fact, lava, which I don't need to tell you is a pretty serious safety violation. The funny part is, I don't know whether Alfred is kidding or not, and I don't think I ever will.
I ate paint once, Danny nonchalantly threw out in the middle of game night. The entire table stopped. Heads whipped towards Danny. Yeah, me too. Cardamom yellow was my favorite. Ugly as hell, but the chemicals just tasted right. Tim replied, using the distraction to nab some of Bruce's money. Monopoly money, that is. Everyone's head snapped towards Tim, only Cass and Danny, who was part of the scheme, caught him cheating. Really? I think mine was those spray can blue Cosmos paint. But that might have been more my thing for space than the actual taste. Why were you eating paint? Dick asked, looking like he wanted to lunge over the table and shake Danny until he puked out paint. Bruce looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Yeah, what the fuck, Tim? Jason snickered. In my defense, Danny grinned. I was left unsupervised. Also, Steph, you owe me $24 in rent. Ugh, I'm almost out of money. Can't you loan me some, Alfred? I am sorry, Miss Stephanie, you are not qualified for another loan. In fact, one of your properties is about to be confiscated as per the collateral agreement. No, Stephanie made dramatic dying noises. What was your excuse, Timothy? Damien asked, eyes glued to the board and determined to win the game. Hey, I was probably less supervised than Danny was. Yeah, Danny perked up. My parents brought us down to their lab all of the time. Taught us a lot of stuff. Really? Like what? Duke asked, casually slapping away Tim's sneaky hands. Oh, like what a rocket launcher sounded like up close. And how to build a laser gun. Oh, and what human organs look like when they're fresh. Danny chirped, collecting his money from a stunned Stephanie's hands. He looked up. Oh, don't worry. I at least learned what not to do when it comes to lab safety. And we wore hazmat suits to protect ourselves from the radiation. Danny smiled in a ditzy fashion as the table fell silent in a horrified manner. Cass tapped his arm amusedly, but allowed his bullshit to stand. After all, it's not like he lied.
I know that the billionaire playboy look is important to B's look, but honestly, if the Joker or SMTHN tried to kill someone at a gala and Bruce fucking decked him, everyone would probably just be like, damn, these Gotham boys are just like that, huh? Too true. The actual reason nobody makes Bruce Wayne the Batman seriously is because the entirety of Gotham is ridiculous and like that. Reporter. Mr. Wayne, how did you find the courage to punch the Joker? Bruce. That clown comes to my party, threatens my guests and my children? Of course I deck him. What else was I supposed to do? Wait for Batman to show up? Bruce Wayne becomes the lead symbol of the "we can't always just wait for Batman" movement. The wave of self-responsibility does almost as much for Gotham as either Batman or Bruce Wayne's philanthropy. Joker does not plan brutal revenge on Bruce Wayne because, when interviewed, he states, "I didn't think the namby-pamby milksop had it in him. Him hitting me is actually kind of funny, and nobody likes a joke as much as I do." Bruce Wayne doesn't just punch the Joker. He uses a comically over-raised punching glove that the Joker dropped. The Joker starts paying attention to Bruce Wayne, and Bruce is just hilarious. Joker doesn't know that Party Boy Wayne is an act, of course, but damn is he entertaining. Bruce Wayne gets pie all over an executive's face. Bruce Wayne makes an electric car that uses a system called GAS, Gotham Automated Systems. Bruce Wayne still has that oversized punching glove. So, after a while, Joker declares Bruce Wayne protected by the Joker. The Bat Fam is trying not to piss themselves laughing, except Bruce, whose eye keeps twitching.
For God's sake, Damien's pissed Todd's one to talk because the man was cooking in the kitchen while talking to Roy on the phone, and while getting really into the story, he placed his hand on the still hot stove. And picked up the metal container he'd just heated to the point of boiling with his bare hands. The man didn't realize it, still babbling on to Roy before he sets it down, glances at his hand and then stops when he sees them turning red. And only then, does he let out a quiet, "Oh, shit." Tim's no better either. He gripped the wrong edge of a knife that he had just put down a second ago. And he wasn't even doing anything else. Damien just watched in horror and disgust as Tim had just stared at his fingers holding the blade before going, "This is wrong, isn't it? Ow." Alfred had caught Damien lugging the questionably large amount of baby-proofing material into the mansion the first time, but walked away before he noticed. And Cass helps re-baby-proof everything when the Bat Fam try to take them out because Alfred asks her to, and she loves doing it. Is this him getting soft? Damien? A trained assassin who was taught emotions only served purpose when they fueled your ambitions? But he had another ambition for now. And so what if his heart flutters when he sees their house-related injuries drastically decrease? So what if there's a giddy feeling in his chest that warms him to every corner of his soul when he watches them bump against the covered edges, and send a silent grateful look to the sticker? He had an ambition. He was using these feelings that he's never felt before, but make him feel so good to fuel himself. He's doing what he was trained to do. He wasn't going to let anything stop him.
As it is most often Danny who is mistaken for Damien and kidnapped, here is the reverse. Jack, out of mistake, kidnapped Damien as he thought it was Danny. Danny was sleeping in the Fenton family gavi, so only in 70% on the way home. He woke up and saw his father kidnapping a boy with them. In Amity Park, Maddie was first angry that Jack kidnapped this poor boy. Maddie. Jack, Danny's eyes are blue. Jack. But Danny's eyes turn green sometimes. Maddie. True. Welcome to the family. Damien to himself. So this is how my siblings ended up with my father. Damien kind of liked it here with the mad scientists. They are fun. And Jazz seems to be trying to help him with his problems, and already accepted him as new baby brother. I feel like Damien would vibe with Jazz and Danny, mostly because they wouldn't to be weirded out by him, and because they would want him first. You know what? Screw Danny joining the B fam, have Damien join the Danny family.
Tim, I sleep so little that even coffee doesn't help me anymore. Dick, what makes you think that? Dick, did something happen? Tim, yeah. Tim, this morning I arrived at the Wayne Enterprises, and at the entrance, instead of the turnstile, I held my pass up to the security guard. Dick laughs. I'm scared to ask how he reacted. Tim, this is the WE security guard we are talking about, who knows me by sight. Tim, besides, he probably saw the hollows under my eyes and decided not to traumatize my psyche any further. Tim, so he just made a loud beeping sound and stepped aside.
The Wayne kids aren't mafia, but individually, they're scary enough for people to assume they are. Everyone knows Brucey Wayne is the biggest himbo ever, and his kids are running everything from the shadows. It's like a given. Seriously, have you seen his kids? Tim's even the CEO at 18. Dick is beloved. Everywhere he goes, kids practically flock to him. But people have seen him slam one too many possible child predators into a wall with the most threatening smile for them to think he's all sunshine and rainbows. One time, a mother asked for his help because his daughter was missing and the police wouldn't help. Dick made one call, to Tim or Oracle, and the child was back by the end of the day, and an entire trafficking ring was taken down. When asked, he simply smiled and denied any involvement, but said he was overjoyed that one more trafficking ring was out of their city. Jason Todd is Crime Alley's hero. More so than anyone else, he has directed funds to help the area he called home before being taken in by Wayne. He died, but no one actually believes that. The Wayne children's mafia had him doing something undercover. And while Dick is all threat with a smile, Jason is threatened with a frown. He can send people running with just a look. Someone noticed that Jason is always strapped. Man has no less than 5 weapons and one is always a gun. He doesn't hide it. Kids always ask him questions, and Jason always stops to answer them if he has the time. Even shows kids a few moves if they need to defend themselves. For whatever reason, people don't connect Hood to Jason, but they definitely think Jason is funding Hood. Tim is the most relatable. Certified genius and always down to help kids with homework. Sometimes he'll camp out in a cafe for the day. Without fail, his location gets leaked, and by mid-afternoon, he's put away his WE work to tutor any students who have walked in. He's always tired, always has coffee, and always gives people a smile. But he knows too much. Rumor is that nothing happens in this town without Timothy Jackson Drake Wayne knowing. One time he was taking a break at the park, scrolling through his phone when a group approached him clearly intent on kidnapping him. Before they even got close, Tim was reciting their social security number, their cell phones, the names of their loved ones, and their address. When Tim looked up, it was with a tired smirk that clearly came across as a warning. He then stood, slipped a business card onto the bench, and told them if they need work to call this number and their reps will help them find something regardless of their past record. Dick, sighing. It's hard being the only emotionally adjusted one in this family. Tim, lauded incorrect buzzer Jason. You're the most like Bruce out of all of us, and that man isn't exactly the poster child for emotional stability. Damien, I concur, while Timothy and Jason see their feelings as afterthoughts, and fear mine undermined. You, Richard, brood and suppress until the miscommunication blows up in your face, just like father. Tim, exactly. The most expressive and normal one of our colony are the Batgirls, and that's saying something. Tim, I could fix Batman, Jason. No, I could fix Batman, but then I fucking died and accidentally made him worse instead, Jason. But when I come back and try to make him worse on purpose, suddenly he won't do it. Tim, deadly serious. I would have killed the Joker for you, Jason. Aw, thanks, Tim, whispering I could fix Red Hood. Jason, stop it. Dick, looking through the bags. Too late, already killed him. Unfortunately, roaches don't stay dead. Anyone seen my damn crowbar? Jason, why do you have a crowbar? Tim, who are you going to kill? Dick, what are you guys, the police? The government? Get off my back. Red Hood being big scary to everyone except when he's around Nightwing is so funny to me. You catch him on an average day and he's just this big intimidating wall of muscle and Kevlar, but you get him around his big brother and he goes full annoying little brother, defaulting to Dick, making fun of him, hanging off his brother's arms and shoulders despite being a head taller. And Dick is just like, yeah, this is my baby brother. I adore the way his persona breaks because he's not the Red Hood, he's Jason Todd hanging out with his big brother who he thinks is the best person ever, and he's just doing little brother stuff. Love the idea of Jason threatening some minor wrongdoers and Nightwing shows up. Then he just immediately begins whining that he wants Batburger and Nightwing needs to take him to Batburger. He has a militia's worth of weaponry on him, but his bike is in the shop and he wants his big brother to take him through the drive-thru. Dick, oh, hi little wing, I missed you little brother. Jason currently attempting to hang off his arms despite being way taller. Yeah, whatever. Random person who was just walking down the street and is very confused and concerned. Bartender, alright, I need some ID. Tim, babyface, Drake, no problem. Jason, built like a fridge. Todd, what the fuck, you've never ID'd me before? Bartender, because you're like 30. Jason, I'm 2 years older than him. Bartender, hold up. You've been drinking here for the last 6 years, Jason. Yeah. So? Bartender, gesturing at Tim. He's 22. It's Gotham. They've got bigger problems to worry about than underage drinking. No one gets ID'd. Wrong. We always card the Waynes because their butler seems nice until he's pissed. At which point the posh British accent slips just a bit and we discover that he might not have the Wayne name, but nobody believes he's just an employee. The last guy to piss off the butler by trying to price gauge him ended up on the missing persons roster. You think Red Hood's scary? I once watched him having to sit for one of the old man's lectures, and so help me, Red Hood's shoulders were hunched and he was being extremely quiet for him. So yeah, we card the Waynes, and if a bird or a bat comes in, try carding them. I once watched Red Hood whip out 3 driver's licenses, none with his face, but rather one for Shemp Howard, one for Mo Howard, and one for Larry Fine. I like to think Jason uses his scars for his friends' family advantages, and not even in a cool guy way, just in a lame way to get the other Robins and Vigilantes to think twice about their actions. Dick's kid, what happened to your face? Uncle JJ Jason. I didn't eat my vegetables. Bruce, I need Damien to start listening to me. He's getting to age of rebellion. Jason, I got you later. Bruce, did you seriously tell Damien I fed you to Killer Croc when you were little and that's why you ended up with your scars? Jason, is he listening? Bruce, Jason, you're welcome. This could work with all the Bat family members actually, when Duke was first starting to be Signal Nightwing. Oh, don't even get me started about the one I have on my upper bicep because I didn't follow orders and got ran over by the Riddler signal. Red Robin. Oh, and I lost my spleen because I decided to fight assassins by myself. Nightwing. Tim. What? Red Robin. Every single member of the Bat family lies about their taste in music. Damian will claim that he only listens to classical music and that everything else is beneath him. Damian will unironically listen to trashy Arab pop and the absolute worst Bollywood songs known to man. Dick introduced him to them, and he hates the fact that sometimes he gets Sheila Ki Jawani stuck in his head during missions. Tim will put on the most ear-grating hyperpop you've ever heard and claim with full chest that these is the peak of humanity's capabilities with music. Damian, Jason, and Steph have all tried to kill him for this take. He will also play stuff like the Living Tombstones and sing it obnoxiously loud when he's working on the computer. Tim, however, loves his 90s grunge, and it's all that's playing in his headphones. Think Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Melvins, Alice in Chains, etc. He has tracked down so many shirts and concert posters and watched every bit of content from the older shows. Jason will claim he only listens to East Coast rap, Biggie, Nas, Jay, etc., and maybe some older metal. He will fight you on East versus West Coast music. There will be weaponry involved. Jason likes rap music. He unfortunately prefers West Coast rap and has listened to No Vaseline like 500 times. He will deny this till the day he dies. Again. Dick knows and threatens to tell Steph. Steph will steal the aux and play Taylor Swift's greatest hits until one of the boys threatens mutiny. Every single one of the Bats has had style stuck in their heads during a stakeout at least twice. She will claim that the only rap song she can tolerate in Eminem and the 7-Eleven is Beyoncé's best song. Batman may claim to have no powers, but Green Lantern knows better. He's convinced that Batman's cape is sentient. Green Lantern has observed it on quiet nights in the Watchtower, when Batman thinks no one's paying attention. He releases control over his cape, letting it unravel and float menacingly around him in different directions. It moves on its own, sweeping across nearby surfaces, carelessly knocking over items. There's one thing Green Lantern knows for sure. Batman's cape has a sweet tooth. Every time Batman passes the candy bowl, it's mysteriously emptied. Even stranger, it seems to influence other capes. Once, while Batman was talking to Superman, their capes briefly touched, and Green Lantern saw Superman's cape come to life, swirling and fluttering as though it had a mind of its own. Superman, unfazed, didn't even react to the way their capes were flapping erratically around them. Green Lantern was relieved he didn't have a cape. He told the others about his theory, but they were skeptical at first. They eyed Batman's cape with suspicion, as he was distracted by a mission briefing with Wonder Woman. But even the Flash had to admit Green Lantern might be onto something when Batman's cape swiped their feet out from under them, sending them both tumbling to the floor. Martian Manhunter nodded sagely and agreed on its intelligence, having felt the minds of 4 little beings flitting around underneath Batman's cape. Maybe one day they'd feel comfortable enough to run underneath his cape too. Duke spent all his childhood and most of his teenage years in a middle-class family, so I like to think that he carried these habits into his rich life as well. Example 1. Duke. Who the fuck is wasting our water? Do you know how expensive the bill will be next month, Tim? Do you know that even if we had opened all the taps in the manor, Bruce would still have no problem paying for them for at least the next 90 years? Duke, closing the faucet. Yeah, what's your point? Example 2. Duke. It's literally a ripoff. $6 for a fucking yogurt? Nah, let's go, Cass. Bet I can find an analog for $3. Cass, handing him the $100 bill that Bruce gave them to buy 2 yogurts? He didn't know the price and just hoped that it was enough? Duke, dragging her out of the store. It's a principle now, let's go. Example 3. Dick, accidentally dropping his phone. Oopsie. Duke, without thinking. Of course. Go on and break it. We are all billionaires here, aren't we? Dick, pretty much confused. Well, technically. Duke, I see you. Victim of capitalism. He also constantly turns off the lights when someone leaves the room for more than 0.5 seconds because it pisses him off. The halls of Wayne Manor were empty of all, just Bruce wandered through them looking at all the bits left throughout. He wasn't really sure what had made him want to wander down the halls, but there he was walking. The hall he was on was the one that held all his various children's bedrooms. They were all empty at the time, all the kids having moved on and out to their own homes around the city. But just because they were gone did not mean that their presence was not felt. He hadn't changed a thing in any of their rooms from the day they left. He couldn't bear to. The rooms would be ready any time one of them needed them. He opened the door that was closest to the rest of the house, and where Bruce's own room was. It was Dick's. When he had first moved in, Dick was so scared of everything and uncertain that he had kept having nightmares. So him being close to Bruce was important. There were more times than Bruce would be able to count that Dick had shown up in his room after a nightmare. He could still see signs of the little kid in the room left behind. The circus posters were still there, and the band ones that had come with the teen years. There were the toys that had been collected mixed in with batarangs and other equipment that shouldn't have ever left the cave. It made Bruce smile thinking of the kid who had become a man he couldn't be more proud of. He closed the door again and walked down the hall, stopping at each door and looking in at what his kids had left behind. Even the ones that hadn't been his to keep. The best part about comics and fics where the Bat Kids have to fight a mind-controlled Bruce is the inevitable oh shit moment when they realize that every single spar with Bruce over the years, even the ones where they were sparring at full force, was against a Bruce who still held himself back in some way. Because those are his kids. A Bruce who doesn't care about them is terrifying. Reminds me of Batman. Bad Blood, where Nightwing had to fight a mind-controlled Batman and ended up getting destroyed. Just the kind of fear where, like, you know you can't win, but you still keep going because the alternative is worse. So, yeah, you end up with bruises and concussions and broken bones, but hey, it worked out alright. And also, like, the leftover fear from fighting your own father has really gotta hurt, 'cause, like, how long will it be until you stop seeing him as the guy who hurt you and start seeing him as your father? Duke spent all his childhood and most of his teenage years in a middle-class family, so I like to think that he carried these habits into his rich life as well. Example 1. Duke. Who the fuck is wasting our water? Do you know how expensive the bill will be next month? Tim. Do you know that even if we had opened all the taps in the manor, Bruce would still have no problem paying for them for at least the next 90 years? Duke, closing the faucet. Yeah, what's your point? Example 2. Duke. It's literally a ripoff. $6 for a fucking yogurt? Nah. Let's go, Cass. Bet I can find an analog for $3. Cass, handing him the $100 bill that Bruce gave them to buy 2 yogurts. He didn't know the price and just hoped that it was enough. Duke dragging her out of the store. It's a principle now, let's go. Example 3. Dick, accidentally dropping his phone. Oopsie. Duke without thinking. Of course, go on and break it. We are all billionaires here, aren't we? Dick, pretty much confused. Well, technically. Duke. I see you, victim of capitalism. He also constantly turns off the lights when someone leaves the room for more than 0.5 seconds because it pisses him off. You know what would be funny? Baby stalker Tim being seen as a omen. There are goons that believe that he is a spirit-haunting Batman, that he is a child that the Bat had lost before he became the Dark Knight. He isn't, but people will still turn around whenever they see him lurking.
Oh yes, forget Grim Reaper Batman who doesn't seem to notice the little boy following him around. This little boy with a camera is obviously watching criminals as a way of saying you are next, you know what you're doing is wrong, if a bat doesn't get you the world will. Gotham is no longer home for you. Tim is the harbinger of misfortune. A crow on a future battlefield, Gotamites are nothing if not superstitious. Tim of course is just following likely leads of criminals that'll likely attract the bats. Action shots are his favorite and the best way is to be set up before they arrive. Sometimes all he gets are gang wars and other crimes, but hey, at least there's documentation of their crimes he can leak if need be. Which, leaking stuff ironically doesn't help his status as a spirit. It's just assumed it's not the spirit, most assume anyway, but a sign that someone else is already there and watching, that they've already been caught and their fall is only inevitable.
Scream if you have to is such a terrifying phrase to hear from Bruce, but I think the Bat Kids actually need to hear it, whether they're getting a bad break reset or having a wound cauterized or something else extremely painful. It can be a relief to know you're allowed to yell and make noise, relieving to know that Bruce says it's okay to scream. Jason and Bruce are out late one night in Gotham as civilians. They get cornered by a mugger, and Jason nearly pisses himself. He's so amused. He teases the would-be mugger about their hand placement, even tries to goad the mugger into a fight because he's Red Hood. He can disarm anyone in seconds. It doesn't matter if you have a gun, he has two. He's Red Hood, and he has the literal Bat of Gotham standing behind him like a wall of muscle. They're as close to invincible as humans get in this town, and that kind of confidence scares off their would-be mugger. But then Jason turns around, a smile stretching across his face, and Bruce is white. Bone white, and so quiet, eyes wide and trained on where the mugger had been standing. The night was clear for once. Jason and Bruce were walking together, reminiscing, remembering old times before everything had happened. Jason laughed and teased, while Bruce did the same, both of them happy for once. "Jay, it's starting to get dark. We should head back." Jason nods, turning into an alleyway. "Come on, I know a shortcut." They walk down the alley together, Bruce on edge more than usual, a difference unnoticeable to everyone but Jason, thanks to Bruce having trained him so well. Jason slows down a bit, walking next to Bruce. "We're fine, B. It isn't like anyone's gonna—" Jason stops, interrupted by the distinctive click of a pistol being cocked. "Gimme all of your money or else," the mugger says, and Jason just looks him up and down. "Really? You're gonna mug me with that stance? Your legs are too far apart, and don't even get me started on how you're holding the damn thing." Jason walks a little closer to the mugger, smirking wide. "I mean, are you trying to break your arm with the recoil? Have you ever even shot that thing before, dummy?" Jason laughs, not noticing Bruce standing deathly silent behind him, face locked in a grimace. Jason continues getting closer, and a shot rings out. Jason moves, faster than the man pulling the trigger, and is already out of the way before the gun fires, grabbing it from the man's hand, unloading it, and taking it apart in what feels like the blink of an eye, dropping the pieces on the ground. Jason laughs as the mugger runs away and turns to Bruce. "Ha! We really showed him, didn't we, Bruce? Hey, B, is everything all right?" Jason says, noticing the pallor that spread across Bruce's face, his knuckles white, swaying in place as Bruce rushes to Jason and holds him close. Jason looks at Bruce, confused, and reluctantly hugs him back. "B, I'm all right. You didn't lose me again." Bruce says, "I know. But I just—" Jason nods, patting Bruce. "Yeah, I get it. Come on, we ought to head home now." Bruce Wayne grew up underneath Alfred Pennyworth and became Batman. Dick Grayson grew up under Bruce Wayne and became Nightwing. Nightwing is renowned by heroes, by fans, all over the world, even bad writers. He is shown in a good light, a beacon, an amazing person. And people laugh and ask, how the fuck did Dick Grayson become so amazing? Bruce. Bruce Wayne is the answer. Dick Grayson is who Bruce Wayne would have become if he'd had a Bruce Wayne in his own life, as his own father. And yet people still try to say he's an awful dad and a horrible person. Look at the facts. And yeah, some kids are amazing people from shitty situations and shitty parents, but Dick becomes who he is because of Bruce, not in spite of him. Real. Thank you. Also, Alfred's parenting, don't even get me started. And yeah, Dick doesn't have eldest daughter syndrome, he has express adoption, or kidnapping syndrome, just like his father. He just has those dad instincts like Bruce, nothing more. Don't excuse Dick if you won't excuse Bruce. It makes me so mad when people do all the... He literally is just dad-shaped, not eldest sister. Anyway.
A toddler who was being saved by the Red Hood called him Mama once, and now crime alley kids will refer to him as Mama all the time. Red Hood entering a situation where some villain in books are keeping kids hostage. "Don't worry, kid." Kicks the villain in the teeth. "Mother is here." Imaging making fun of the name during some meetup, and Jason goes, "You wish you'd have a quarter of the MILF energy I have." "I so do have." "Face it, Dickie, you're not even a DILF." "Todd, you're being disgusting." "Aw, does the baby Robin want mommy to tuck him in with a little kiss?" Oh, no. Nobody should know where his current safe house was, so naturally, when he opened his front door with the plan to hit up a cafe, there was a small mountain of handmade Happy Mother's Day cards waiting for him, along with the kid who was squatting in the apartment next door. He'd assured the kid that the landlord tried to help kids because he was a crime alley rat himself. He just neglected to mention he was said landlord. The rather nervous kid held a plate with burned toast and one of those cartons of OJ. Jason wanted to cry because everyone had worked so hard to do this.
Damien gets de-aged to baby age, and Bruce is absolutely delighted, like he's concerned because he loves his 10-year-old Damien. He would be heartbroken if it was permanent. It would be like Damien died. But as soon as they confirm that it's all temporary, he's relieved, but downplays his excitement. A whole week with his now literal baby boy. One of his biggest regrets in life was not being able to see Damien as a baby. It's different with his other kids because they had parents, and he repeated that he could never replace them. Damien, on the other hand, he should have been there, he would have been had he'd known. So he really feels like he missed out on that aspect. When Dick insists that he holds and plays with Damien, he gets all pouty and quiet because how ridiculous is it to be jealous over a baby's attention? Until he notices Damien keeps looking back at Bruce, as if making sure he's still there. And he realizes that Damien, even though he's happily playing with Dick, wants him around. And he's so proud of himself. He's getting a good grade in Dad. It's all fun and games until it's time for bedtime, and turns out, Damien is a clingy baby. Bruce basically has to sleep with one hand in the crib for Damien to hold for him to even consider sleeping.
Thinking about artist Bruce, specifically sculptor Bruce. That man commands every material that can be molded and shaped, and he's an entire monster with details. Those amazingly elaborated statues where you can see every crease, every fabric fold, where every line is crisp and organic, except it's Jason's statue in the mausoleum. Is this just because I want Bruce to casually walk up to Talia, run his hands over the soft of her stomach and waist and nod in understanding before walking off, leaving her a confused mess? Maybe. Next time she sees him, he's unveiling a statue he made of her. Honestly, what greatest show of love? Her beloved has made a statue of her with his own hands. Every part of her is there. He knows her so well, it's like looking in a mirror, and yet it's so different because it's also the way Bruce sees her. There's a softness in her gaze she has never seen before, perhaps because it was only ever directed toward him, before her children. She looks strong and cunning, an oh so familiar smirk playing on her lips. You do not need anything more than look at it to know the one who made it adores his muse. I don't know if this is a hot take, but there's something that bugs me about a lot of Batman performances, the dichotomy of his Bruce and Batman voices. Now, hear me out. Batman absolutely should have a completely different voice from Bruce. Bruce is neurotic enough to develop two completely different idiolects for his identities. Anything to throw people off the scent, right? However, actors usually make the choice for Bruce to be the natural voice and Batman to be some sort of growling affectation. I personally think it would be better for Bruce to be the fake-sounding voice and Batman to be his more natural-speaking voice. Imagine Batman with a naturally deep and resonant voice that carries a lot of authority but very little emotion. Meanwhile, Bruce's voice is very mid-Atlantic old-money playboy with an almost breathy, ditzy quality. It's all emotion, no thoughts. Just enthusiasm and good-natured smiles. This is absolutely coming straight out of my Bruce's neurodivergent HC. A lot of us have a natural speaking voice that sounds off to others and a performative public voice that we've learned to use with people we don't know very well to put them more at ease. So, it's completely possible for Bruce's natural speaking voice to be a bit more flat and his words to be more fact-based in a way that would make neurotypical people nervous. And, being Bruce, he would have absolutely studied other people's voice and behavior so that he could mimic it in public. However, masking like that is very brain resource intensive, so it would have been an easy choice to drop that for Batman. This would also mean that in private, when it's just him and the family, he also uses the Batman voice because that's just what he sounds like when he's not trying. This would also lead to hilarity when Bruce does crack jokes or tease people by intentionally using his Brucey voice when they're not expecting it. Like, imagine Batman looking Flash straight in the eye as he shows up late to a team meeting fucking again, and saying, "You know, old chap, for the fastest man alive, you certainly know how to take your dear sweet time." Imagine. TLDR. Batman is the real voice and Bruce is fake, and it kind of bugs me when actors do the opposite.
I love the idea of the Wayne kids dropping extremely vague and disturbing comments during galas, especially when in uncomfortable situations or if they're just bored. They pull out things from their nightlife too. Other times they just make shit up. Socialite. Oh dear, your cheeks look so sullen. Who sucked the life out of you? Tim, dead serious. An old man with a goatee. Socialite. What? Dick. Once I broke my knee so badly that I swear I could see part of the bone sticking out. Socialite. Good Lord. How on earth did that happen? Dick. Just clumsy gymnast things. Socialite. The white streak is certainly a bold fashion choice. Jason. I saw someone get decapitated once, so I could be doing worse in terms of what's on my head, you know? At least I have one. Socialite. What's your favorite color, sweetie? Damien. Red. Socialite. Oh, that's lovely. Damien. Like the blood of my enemies. Socialite. Oh, socialite. You must be new to these kind of events. Duke. Yeah, they're kind of scary. But I've had worse. Socialite. Worse. Duke. Well, I've been left on top of a skyscraper before with no way down just to get over my fear of heights. So, yes. Socialite. You don't talk very loud, do you? I can barely hear you. Cass, with a straight face. If I spoke any louder, every glass in the room would shatter. Tim, behind her. I can vouch. Brucey Wayne, mid-speech. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's charity gala, so glad to have you here. Damien interrupting said speech. Father Jason is attempting to do a backflip off the roof because Richard Triple Dog dared him, Bruce, voice dropping 5 octaves. I thought I told Dick to stop with the dares. Bruce pretending he's drunk at every minor non-vigilantism-related inconvenience is my Roman Empire. Bruce, voice dropping 5 octaves. I thought I told Dick to stop with the dares beep boop. I look for accidental haiku posts. Sometimes I mess up. I'm imagining Wayne's guests are somewhat used to this by now. It's literally only the new people who are very confused. Everyone else is like, yeah, Dick used to swing from the chandeliers. He did it 2 galas ago. He'll probably do it again next time. Bruce is an idiot except when it comes to his children's safety. That's where he poured all of his brain cells into. Damien. I told him you told him that, but he said, I am a grown man who can triple dog dare anyone I want. Then upped it to quadruple. Dick in the distance. Ugh! Damien. Silence, Richard. Anyway, Father, I thought you should know. Bruce. Runs hands down face exhaustedly. Thank you, Damien.
Jason and Dick look so much alike during their Robin days that they get confused who was the Robin in certain photos. They literally can't tell each other apart, and the fact they have been fighting almost the same lineup of rogues is even more confusing, so their experiences end up mixed up, a lot. Jason. No, that was me. Did you read my reports and is confusing them with the real thing? Dick. I'm 100% sure that was me. Maybe you're the one who is misremembering. You used to read my reports all the time. Jason. So you're just gonna act like I'm fucking lying? I have 4K memory of that day. That was literally me. Get out of here with her Pinocchio-looking ass. Dick. You're the one remembering things wrong. I got 17 years of career. I know that was me. The whole time, the Riddler was running low on funds and used the same strategy twice, hoping nobody would notice. Tim knows the truth. He has read both reports, but he thinks it's funny to see them argue. Tim Drake is the only one who can reliably tell them apart with a 97% accuracy due to his Batclan stalker days, a fact that not everyone is aware of. Bruce, Alfred and Barb know, having both been there and seen the frightening abilities of Tiny Tot Tim. Jason and Dick are aware to an extent but haven't thought about it too much beyond Tim had an intense fan phase when he was younger. And due to one instance of Damien snooping around and finding some old photos he knows now too, not that he ever brings it up, to him that's just normal kid hobby. And of course Tim himself would rather watch Jason and Dick argue than divulge any info. I'm all about Jason resetting his age after he died. Little things like going to a diner or restaurant after patrol, kids eat free and this 6'6" fridge just says, free meal I'm legally too. Or my favorite HC is Jason protecting Damien from his time in the LOA so Damien, 10 apples tall, introducing him everywhere is, this is my little brother be nice to him, and it's Hulk's love child in a red tic-tac-tac helmet. People would just go with it too. They've seen much weirder by now, and even if they hadn't, the actual child next to Jason is both cute and scary so you want to make him happy. Besides, it does say on his birth certificate that he's 2, doesn't it? And if other people start picking up on this and just showing at restaurants for free food, then all the owners have to do it. Knew it put up a sign that says, for free meals, please bring a birth certificate or similar proof. Once, a very obviously child person shows up with their responsible adult, but are denied a free meal on failing to show any kind of ID. It is revealed they are, in fact, a child-looking adult. Khan, upon meeting Jason, just goes, oh, how old are you? I'm 1 inch. And that's how Jason and Khan start showing to restaurants together for more free food. Every goon in Gotham feels bad if they break Nightwing's nose or knock out one of his teeth. It's a thing. You fuck up the pretty bird's face and he's fine with it? But it's not fine. It feels wrong, for some reason. You don't touch his face. Cut to Dick peeling off his domino mask in an alley asking Jason if it's broken, and his nose is halfway across one side of his face. Dick seems largely unbothered by this. Jason is seething with rage. Damian is already sprinting down the alley ready to exact revenge on the newbie goon who accidentally went high instead of low on a lucky hit. Dick asks Jason what's wrong. His nose is so badly broken, there's blood welling up in his tear ducts. Jason just stares at him, at a loss for words entirely. There was a fantastic story about a genuinely abusive Batman, who trains Dick brutally and terribly, but who makes Bruce so much better as a person and warned a vigilante. And as Bruce gets better he starts realizing how evil he let himself become, and treats Dick much better. But then Bruce makes a mistake and the fucking cops kill Dick, so Bruce loses his fucking mind grieving him, but ends up a better person, ends up adopting everyone the same as in the main timeline. But then through magical shenanigans Dick is brought back to life, as like, a 9-year-old. And Bruce takes him back in, ecstatic he gets another chance. Except Dick only knows extremely fucked up abusive Bruce, who only recently became kinder and more caring. And Bruce has trained this fucking kid with terrifying methods, he's a goddamn machine. Bruce just took in Damian and Dick becomes good friends with him because they've been trained in the same environment to look at things the same way. Like, Dick smashed up his feet and doesn't even notice it, and Bruce finds out that when he taught Dick to ignore pain he really ignores it. But Bruce has become a reasonable dad by this point and he's just fucking horrified. There's stuff Dick is bringing up Bruce had forgotten he did? Bruce is lying on the floor weeping. Dick thinks he probably shouldn't do that because enemies can take advantage of emotional weaknesses. But of course Dick is still a sweetie so he promises he won't tell anyone. After all, Bruce made him cry all the time and Alfred kept it a secret. Dick spars with Damian for 2 hours because they both think that's reasonable. Damian is technically trying to kill him but Dick doesn't take it personally. Damian gives him a knife as a gift and Dick is ashamed he ever let himself walk around without one. Bruce thinks Dick shouldn't be playing with knives. Dick thinks Bruce has gone insane. I want to believe that the other Bat Boys get so caught up in how Damian never acts like a normal child, that whenever they see him engaging in regular kid activities everyone is on high alert whilst trying to preserve the moment. Tim's with Con and they walk past John's room to see him and Damian playing toy cars. They start walking faster until they're a safe distance away, to stop in their tracks and share a mutual, "What the fuck?" Jason and Damian are arguing, something Jason says strikes a nerve, and Damian just stops and breaks the stoic act. Jason has no clue what to do with himself, because nothing he's ever said has gotten a non-violent reaction out of the kid. Dick's taking Damian to the cinemas, and lets him pick what they watch. Damian picks a kid's movie, and doesn't make comments about it seeming childish or boring, instead he looks genuinely interested. Dick goes along with it but is really taken aback. Damian's patrolling with the other boys, and sustains a mild injury. Everyone's used to him fixing himself up and never making a big deal out of it. They've seen him break bones and refuse medical attention, mainly because of how the League trained him. So when they get back to the Batcave, and are all getting fixed up in the infirmary, everyone's shocked when Damian, sitting to the side about to patch himself up, starts crying, because he's exhausted and hurt. Whenever the boys see Damian asleep anywhere but his room, they make sure to tiptoe past and tell the others not to wake him. Usually when this happens it's because he's been so exhausted, that he's sat down to watch a show, been playing with Titus, or doing schoolwork, and he's just fallen asleep in the middle of it. Afterwards, Dick especially, makes sure that Damian's sleeping enough, which is hard, because no one can tell that he's tired until he physically passes out. "Alfred, it appears that you are running a high fever, Master Bruce. I strongly advise against patrolling the streets tonight." "Bruce, I have to, Alfred. Has a bad coughing fit." "Oh no. Quick, Alfred, get me to the underground vault." "Alfred. Whatever for sir." "Bruce. I have to hide before." "Clark. Hi Bruce." "Hi Alfred." Knocks on the window and waves at them. Bruce. "Damn it, we're too late." Alfred. "Good evening, Mr. Kent. Allow me to open the balcony doors for you, sir." Waves away Bruce's attempts to shut the curtains. "Please come in and make yourself at home." Clark. "Thanks Alfred." "Hey Bruce, I heard you coughing all the way from Metropolis, so I just wanted to drop by to make sure that you're all right. Here, I made you Ma's special chicken soup." Bruce. "You also flew here at hypersonic speed. That soup's probably cold now. I'll warm it up and eat it later. After my patrol." Clark. "No worries, the soup's in this fancy lunchbox that you got me for Christmas so I'm sure it's still warm." Oh, by the way, Alfred, Bruce and I will be watching Contagion in the cinema room tonight. Bruce. It's not a lunchbox, it's a voice-activated kryptonite storage box with an emergency locator beacon. And no, I'm not staying at home to watch. Alfred. Sounds wonderful, Mr. Kent. Master Bruce, let me put away this batsuit and prepare the room for the both of you right away. And switch off that distress signal.
As Damien's 16th birthday approaches, Tim gets more and more anxious. He spends more and more time with Damien until they're almost attached at the hip. Offers with a tone of suppressed desperation that does not suffice to make Damien agree to take Damien out of the country for his birthday. Starts to stand firmly in between Bruce and Damien every time they're in the same room, twitching every time Bruce moves toward them. Damien's 16th birthday passes without incident, if you don't count Tim hovering at his shoulder the entire time, armed, checking every present, before letting Damien take it. Tim is staring at the clock as it hits midnight, and his body goes almost limp, the constantly held tension of weeks dropping. Then his face fills with confusion, then goes blank. He leaves, with the party still in swing, and Damien feels the absence at his side immediately. The spot just behind him that he's grown used to having a protective presence and finally empty. No one sees Tim for weeks. I bet game night between the Bats and Supers goes so hard. A family of detectives and a family of investigative journalists, all with a natural competitive drive, whose side hobbling of superheroing literally involves beating the crap out of people. You get your ass that it turns into full-out war. The Bats always win at charades. Dick and Bruce are the highest scorers. They know each other too well. Bruce can just tilt his head a certain way and Dick will instantly know what he means. It's creepy as shit. They also regularly win at Monopoly. All those hours Tim spent at WE and DI come in handy. And Trivial Pursuit. Jason's a nerd. He would kick Bruce's ass at that game at age 12, and that hasn't changed. If anything, he's gotten better. Steph is the reigning champion in Apples to Apples. But the Supers are naturally good at Jenga and pretty much any card game. Clark's also an ace at Scrabble, strangely enough. Mahjong. Thought Bruce gives him a run for his money. He played a lot with Ra's al Ghul. Khan has been leading in Uno for years, but Tim insists he's cheating. The only game they don't play is Clue. It got so combative and chaotic that Alfred had to call in Lois to help him keep World War III from breaking out in Wayne Manor. Jason is a protective brother. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense in the gritty and angst canon, but I like to believe Jason will give his brothers hell, but will ultimately be the most protective of them. Punching Dick? No problem. Some random punk-ass gang got a few sucker punches on his big brother and then got away? 1 week later, every single member is found beaten up in front of police station. Teasing Tim for being awkward around Bernard? A necessity. Some dude makes a snide, homophobic remark to Tim? His tiny Robin Tim? Nope. Jason just punches the dude on the throat. Trolling the demon brat? His duty as a big brother? Damien is in a tight spot with some rogues? Nah. Red Hood apparently just materializes in the scene and takes them out Damien had under control? Yes? Did Jason care? Number. If Batman and Spider-Man switched rogues galleries, none of their villains would last more than 10 minutes against the new enemy. Batman takes down all of Spider-Man's villains with ruthless efficiency and preparation. Batman's villains are all like, take me seriously, damn it, and Spider-Man is like, no. The Joker would have an intense hatred for Spider-Man because Spider-Man is actually funny. That was the exact thought process behind this post. In Gotham, riddle me this. I like knock-knock jokes better. In New York, Green Goblin is getting his ass beat by 12 orphans in spandex. To be fair, Green Goblin was already getting his ass handed to him by an orphan in spandex. The closest parallel to a Spider-Man-Joker confrontation might be the superb Batman Beyond Joker fight from Return of the Joker, where Terry basically dissects Joker's motivation, remembering Ultimate Peter Parker's takedown of the Kingpin by basically calmly reading him a list of "you're so fat" jokes until Kingpin loses all control and gets his ass handed to him as a result. I could see this working with the Joker.
DC Comics really wants to thread the line between Batman as an urban legend and Batman is the world-famous founder of the Justice League, so like what if they did both? Batman is an urban legend and nobody believes he really exists, Except he also founded the Justice League and they all talk about him all the time. He never shows up to any of their events and he's never caught on camera, so the news comes to the completely reasonable conclusion that the entire Justice League has an imaginary friend. Alternate version where he's only an urban legend inside of Gotham and everywhere else he's world famous, so, like any other person will be talking to a Gothamite and ask them what it's like to live in the same city as Batman, and the Gothamite will be like, "What are you smoking? Batman isn't real." While Batman is literally fighting aliens on TV behind them. Metropolitan. Look, he's right there. Gothamite. Not turning around. Bullshit. Fuck you. Metropolitan. If Batman doesn't exist, then why is there a Fochang bat signal in the sky every damn night, Jerry? If you think about it, Bruce is really just a highly trained specialist. Batman, hand-to-hand, Gotham, detective work, forced to be a generalist, Justice League, threats to Earth, magic, evil gods. Of course asking him to help out during an alien invasion is gonna piss him off. Like, he's still going to show up but he's going to be thinking about Gotham the whole time. Asterisk the League, battling something on a traditional flat battleground asterisk Batman, muttering to himself as he jogs behind his superspeed friends beating up an enemy. I miss my grappling gun asterisk the League, battling a plant monster thingy asterisk Batman, asterisk throws batarang at water pipe next to it, having it explode and water spray all over the plant monster asterisk Flash. Why did you do that? Batman, toxins in the water poison the plant. Flash, toxins in the water. Batman, obviously that's why you need to filter the water before you give it to plants or drink it. Flash, you know that tap water is drinkable in most cities including this one. Right? Batman. Asterisk glares asterisk League, fighting when a gas gets set free. Asterisk. Superman, we have to get the civilians out. Batman, we need to stop more gas from getting out. Superman, but the people? Batman. The people are more than capable to put on their gas masks and go on with their day. Superman. What gas masks? Batman. Their everyday gas mask should be more than enough. Superman. No one just carries a gas mask around. Batman. Do you people also leave your brains at home? Do you want to get gassed? Superman. A normal person doesn't get gassed so many times that it warrants an everyday gas mask.
I see your Bruce Wayne is dating Batman rumors and raise you this. Everyone knows that Bruce Wayne is dating Batman. Everyone knows that Jason Todd is Red Hood. Everyone knows that Jason Todd is Bruce Wayne's dead son. Everyone knows Red Hood hates Batman. This is all a very open secret. Everyone knows Tim Drake and Red Robin have a very public beef with one another, and that Red Hood used to have a very public, but much more violent beef with the third Robin. This leads to the general accepted truth being that Red Hood hates Batman because he is fucking his dad, and Tim Drake and Red Robin dislike each other because Tim's brother beat up Red Robin, and once again, Red Robin's dad is fucking Tim's. Everyone feels a little bad for Red Robin, being at the end of both Red Hood's and Tim Drake's distaste, because the former is a crime lord, and the latter is Timothy Jackson Drake. This naturally reaches the JL, whom does not know Batman's identity yet. Green Arrow makes a passing comment about having also fucked Wayne, which Batman overhears. Cue absolute bat confusion, which he does not show. And that was how the great Batman found out that he accidentally, 100%, enforced the rumors that he was dating himself, by the way he replied to reporters' strange questions that in hindsight were so incredibly obvious. This whole time, young Justice is having the time of their lives, while also becoming increasingly concerned as they watch Tim switch between devices as he replies to himself on different accounts on Twitter to further his own feud with Red Robin. And Jason is not sure how he feels. On one hand, Bruce is now very uncomfortable about many things, and people yell at Batman when he starts treating Jason like his son, especially when he yells, "I'm not your son," because what kind of boyfriend would try to make their boyfriend's kid their own when they clearly don't want to be? That's an upside. But on the other, this implies that he is Bruce's son, and that brings up a lot of feelings he doesn't want to deal with. And back on that first hand, people have mostly stopped making thirst traps of his dad. Gross. And on the second once more, they have started shipping Red Robin and Tim. And the others are just sitting back and enjoying the ride. They are absolutely a part of this, but I'm too lazy to type out and come up with ideas for the rest.
Okay, but realistically speaking, Bruce Wayne has got to have a low alcohol tolerance. He's a lightweight. Like, think about it. This man rarely drinks. Most of his drunken shenanigans are done stone cold sober on account of the mission and all. If you get more than 2 glasses of wine in him, he is fucking gone, which is part of what makes family dinners at the manor so entertaining. Assuming that such events are one of the rare times Bruce truly relaxes, it's not a stretch to think he might indulge in a glass of wine or a bourbon. And this is fine and all, until the Bat Kids persuade him to have another round with them, or, God forbid, do a celebratory shot. After that, Bruce is wiped. His kids think it's hilarious. Drunk Bruce is a trip. He'll drop insane dad lore about his time in the League or a wild JL space mission or something, but then proceed to list in meticulous clinical detail all the things that annoy him about Hal Jordan, and then all of a sudden get super excited and start detailing his latest Superman contingency plan using the salt shakers in the dining room table. He switches moods and topics so quickly that his kids would get whiplash if they weren't laughing their asses off. And you know the +1. Singular, solitary, time that Bruce got drunk in front of Clark will go down in history as the best day of Clark's life. Bruce spent the entire time bearing his soul, praising his children, and describing his world travels, but he also kept getting distracted by Clark's abs and called him sexy no less than 14 times. Clark left that bar wheezing with laughter and had to disentangle himself from Bruce and force him into a taxi because Bruce kept trying to make out with him. It was fantastic.
Superman, trying to befriend Batman. If not friend, why friend-shaped? Literally everyone else, looking at Batman's costume, designed to be menacing and incite fear. He is not friend-shaped. Can't find the video but. Superman holding creature Batman's face as Kara looks on in horror. Is. Bloop. 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 K. Cal. S. What? K. That is a predator? S. He's not a predator. K. What are you? S. We're blooping. S. Bloop 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 B. 3. Very Superman's pal, the Shadow Demon-esque. New headcanon. Back on Krypton, there was a domesticated animal in a roughly similar shape to a cartoon bat that was very popular as a pet for its affectionate and gentle nature. Love it when it's a cryptid AO2. Mans has claws and blood all over him or something, and Clark is just over here trying to cradle him like a cat and going PS Bespops at the very menacing shadow in the corner. Maybe the Batman cowl-docked silhouette is similar to some friendly Kryptonian animal that instead of it inciting a fear response, Clark is having an instinctual, cute friend animal reaction like we have to cats and dogs, etc. Batman looks vaguely like a Kryptonian cat. Bruce never lives this down later. The Bat Kids decide to hop on the trend. Dick, walking as Steph records, "We're vigilantes." Of course we have to be overdramatic. Cut to Nightwing backflipping off of Wayne Tower. Tim, "We're vigilantes." Of course we have issues with caffeine. Cut to a video of Tim as Red Robin snoring while hanging from a grappling line. Batman can be seen in the background facepalming. Damian. "No. Tim. Oh, come on. Robin, we're all doing it." Damian. "I refuse to partake in such idiotic videos." Tim. While Damian is still behind him, "We're vigilantes. Of course we get to punch people without getting in trouble." Damian. "Actually, Tim. Robin, you're supposed to play along." Damian. "I am not going to spread false information." Steph, interrupting. "Well, I'm not one of Batman's sons, so he legally can't yell at me." Tim. "Wanna bet?" Cut to Batman scolding all 3 of them about the improper use of force. Duke. "We're vigilantes. Of course we go to Batburger." Cut to Duke happily eating a Batburger meal and playing with a signal toy. Duke. "What?" "I'm allowed to have hobbies." Steph. "We're vigilantes. Of course we can scare anyone we want to. Right, Black Bat?" Cass. Nod. The next series of videos is a compilation. The first is Superman being scared, followed by Green Lantern, Flash, Cyborg, Starfire, Dick, Tim, and a failed attempt to startle Wonder Woman. Cass isn't even upset about not being able to scare the woman, she accepts the defeat with grace. Dick, Tim, and Steph. "We're vigilantes." Dick. "I've gotten stranded on the moon. Don't ask." Tim. "I got lost in hell." Steph. "I accidentally followed Green Lantern into space." Tim. "What? When?" Steph. "Turns out if you hug a Green Lantern really tightly, their life support on their ring will support you too, Dick. You know, Batman shouldn't find out about this." Cut to Batman's lecture about the proper use of protective gear when going to space. Dick. "We're vigilantes. Of course we're best friends with all of the villains." Cut to Red Hood kicking down a door. Jason. "Hey, bleep, you're late to dinner?" Dick. currently tied to a chair and gagged. Jason. Hang on, I'll help. Shoots everyone and unties Dick. Harley said she's going to rampage if you're not there in 5 minutes. Dick. Blame these guys, not me. Jumps through the nearest window, shattering it, and the sound of a grapple is heard. Jason. I'm a crime lord, Dick, and I'm a vigilante, Jason, and you're ruining my video. Bleep, off. Shoves Dick out of the frame, ignoring Dick's muttered cursing. Now that we got the riffraff out, let me start over. Brushes imaginary dirt from hands. I'm a crime lord. Of course Batman fights me every other day. I look forward to the day I can break his kneecaps. Dick. Shocked. Hood. Jason. What? Dick. He's your dad too. Jason. Yuck, don't remind me. Duke. We're vigilantes. Of course we know all of the gossip. Very obviously looking around. Like for example, Superman has the biggest crush on Bruce Wayne. Clark, who was obviously eavesdropping. No. Trying to turn the camera off as he darts into the frame. There's a flash of red, blue and yellow as Duke and Clark fight over the camera. Tim. We're vigilantes. Of course we visit other cities. Wally, as Kid Flash. What the bleep are you doing in Central City? Tim. I'm honestly not sure. It's so bright that I think I'm blind. Villain swaps Bruce and Clark minds. Bruce, I get the Man of Steel, now. Punches villain. Clark, why are you so much in pain? Bruce, what do you mean? I took a 12 hours break yesterday. I'm as fresh as a newborn. After everything gets fixed, Clark tucks him in and feeds him homemade soup and keeps him trapped for like 3 days to just have a break, and everyone thinks Batman fucking died. They switch back and Clark calls the Bat Kids to tell them to make Bruce rest for a few days, cause by God that is not natural even for a vigilante. None of them see any problem with what he's doing, and he's gotten more rest this week than like half of them. Clark proceeds to call all of Gotham's, Bloodhaven's villains and tell them to take a week off. They do not want to listen. He has to convince them. This takes longer than anticipated, and it's 2 weeks before the Bat Clan gets an entire week of rest and relaxation. They were all so legitimately convinced that this was the end of the world they made bingo cards for how it would go down. Clark will now text all of the villains in a group chat they created whenever he decides Bruce needs the week off, or if he mentions his kids do. It happens on a bi-quarterly basis now. Harley, I'm not saying you can't work with Scarecrow and Clayface to force people to perform in the Music Meister's latest musical. I'm just saying that I know Pamela has already made plans for the Bat Break, and if they're interrupted because she has to come pick you up after I thwart this plan, you're not gonna have a good time. Fine, we'll reschedule for next month. Danny is just regarded as the fucking strange occult wizard man of chemistry. The best and worst part is that he's so damn used to the way his parents taught him how to do chemistry that he doesn't give instructions with proper measurements when demonstrating the lab in class. Like, what are the moles? What are the measurements that are needed for this? What materials will you need? Nah. Danny opens the demonstration with, just a warning, half of the steps I will be showing you in this demonstration will not actually be featured in the lab. I didn't have chemical, but I did purchase some household cleaning and beauty products from Dollar Tree that I finished isolating them out of 30 minutes before class. And for chemical, you can make it out of these too, so that's taken care of. I made sure to order more, but it won't come in until next Wednesday. So don't worry, when you do this lab yourself, you will not need to do these steps, but I figured it would be a good learning experience. I only had the time to dilute the chemicals before this period, so I apologize. Dr. Fenton? You want me to buy water? I'll dilute the chemicals myself. I don't really have proper PPE besides gloves and safety goggles, so I'll just have to make do. But it's just something he's done so much before. The verbal instructions are like, put enough in until it looks like there's enough. For the lab instructions for the students, he has a worksheet with the actual recipe and standard measurements, but when he's showing the class how it's done, rough measurements. The way he's doing it, there should be a massive fucking margin of error, and he should absolutely not be getting the product he wants, because that's not how chemistry should work. The lab required a micropipette and he's doing it by eye. Like, maybe people who have 30 plus years working in their field with something they have done a bajillion times. But absolutely not a 25-year-old who has a degree in mechanical engineering and got his PhD last year. And even then, doing it by eye is just asking for you to fuck up and waste your materials.